It's 8:35. And I would like to ask for our review and approval of the minutes. If anybody has any comments, and if not, can I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Thank you, Nathaniel. I'm tripping over it. You know, I keep telling people,
Nate,
my
you
son's
can just
name
go
is
with Nate.
Nathan.
It's fine. Yeah.
I know, but my son's name is Nathan, and I don't like it when people call him Nate. Never mind. It's too much information. Okay, so we have a motion.
Is there a second? I'll second.
I'll say aye.
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 All right, looks unanimous.
Aye. So next issue is finalized survey questions. And sadly, Jessica can't join us tonight, but she promises to send the questions to us in the next week or so. And actually, in reality, we're not going to be able to do a survey until next year, as it is, given that we are approaching the end of the year. So I think the focus is going to be the January 16th event. We all agreed, what, sorry.
Sorry, before you go on, move on. Jessica will send the revised survey questions next week.
I think she said, what's today? She said this week.
Okay, I'll just write soon for the minutes.
Soon is a good idea. Thank you.
And my question was, at the last meeting, the folks from AJC said that they would be willing to provide some input on the questions.
Yeah.
And so my thought was, you know, I'm sure we haven't gotten that yet. I mean, we just met with them, but you know, with that process, I'm thinking that we'd have the survey questions sometime after the 16th. We'd forward.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I actually connected Jessica with the AJC folks. So presumably she's been in touch with them, and presumably they've exchanged ideas. So
that sounds good.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Thank you for keeping us on track, as always.
I try to
Marty?
keep notes. I take notes. My job.
You're amazing. Just amazing. I'm going to start calling you Amazing Marty.
Oh, please don't. I'd be totally embarrassed. Totally
Okay.
mortified.
So going on to number 4 on our agenda. So assuming I don't have any reason not to assume otherwise, that we're going to go ahead with a January 16th training event, and they have chosen 7 p.m. And they have organized, they've put together a registration platform. So the truth is that we don't have to do a thing.
That's fantastic. That's lovely.
Yeah. So all we have to do is market it. And we've decided to create it as a webinar format rather than a Zoom format, because webinar gives you more control. The speakers can have their say and then allow comments by whoever. And if there are any strident, I don't know what they call Zoom bombers, we can control them. So it's going to be a webinar format, and they have a capacity to up to 1,000 people. Now we're not going to fill up 1,000 pieces. Even if every single one of ours is going to register separately, adults and children. But the good news is that I've heard that other municipalities, among most of them, having signed on to the initiative that the county has around anti-Semitism, signed on their own task forces, but they have not initiated any programs. And when I reached out to those 10 organizations, municipalities, I've heard back from 3 of them, and they're really interested in joining us in collaborating on this event. And that is part of our
Naomi,
mission.
quick question, Naomi, what time?
7
7
p.m.
o'clock on the 16th of
7,
January.
7 p.m. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so there are several municipalities that really want to sign on. They will promote it, they say, and so capacity is 1,000. Hopefully we will match that 1,000, but who knows? And so we're set for January 16th. And what I want to work on tonight together is how to market it. So I'm going to focus on the municipalities, and I've talked to Michael about creating a flyer. I think one of the questions for the committee is, do we want to brand the flyer for just a VMA flyer or a VMA joint, joint committee, the Jewish committee flyer? Do we want to just do our own branding? That's the first question.
I think that, on the one hand, I'm really proud of us being out in the lead, on this. I think that we've really, hit the ground running, and we've got a really good team here, and we've got a really good program coming up on the 16th. So that makes me want to be sort of like pride of ownership that we should, VMA is proud to sponsor. But on the other hand, I think effective marketing is really, I think like Town of Kensington, is that one of the ones that was interested?
Yeah.
I mean, and it would probably be more effective in terms of publicizing and marketing if we said Martin's Additions and Kensington and whoever else, because people are more likely to come to something that their own town is sponsoring.
Right.
And so I think psychologically, in terms of marketing, it makes sense to have the various towns sponsor it together. Although I am tempted to just say VMA is really proud we're out in front, but hey, ego is not our motive here. It's about having it be effective. So my take on it is it's much more effective to have the various towns listed as sponsoring it.
Yeah. Anybody else? What do you
Well,
have?
I agree. I also think it sends a powerful statement. The more communities that we bring together, that to say that we're not just attending this, but we are behind this and hosting it. I think it's powerful for our communities and beyond. So I think it's important that we do it as together with as many communities as we can.
Okay. So how about AJC? Do we want to make that part of the brand or not?
I think
Sure.
so. I think it's a very strong brand for anyone who is aware of AJC. And I think it gives us credibility.
Okay. So so here's the thing. I'm thinking that we create our own flyer with VMA and AJC, and we send the text to our municipalities, and then we let them brand it the way they want to, rather than say, make sure that you mention us. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, fair enough. AJC is probably going to want to. In fact, they said it at the presentation that if we include.
No, they're not worried about branding themselves.
No, but they wanted to include, if we're going to include their logo and their name on a flyer, they did want to see the flyer before we send it out. Anyway.
Right. Yeah, we need to, yeah.
So just
they need to review the flyer beforehand. So, but they're not worried about branding themselves any more than we are. I mean, it would be good for our village to brand ourselves, but if the neighboring village doesn't want to, are you okay if they don't?
Sure, their call. I like Nate's point though, that the more of us, it really sends a much more powerful message of unity and community to have us all. And I just think that's a significant part of the message here, is that we're all here together.
Right. The only
What-
problem
wouldn't
I,
that- Excuse me, wouldn't that flyer say like, you know, join our local community, like the flyers, I'll join, like, we can put it together, join our local community and the AJC to learn about the rise of anti-Semitism in our neighborhoods. And then next to community would be an asterisk. At the bottom, it would say like Village of Martin's Addition, Kensington, and now I'm just making things up, Kensington, Section 5, Rollingwood, joint sponsors. I mean, it just sends such a strong message if we could get all these people on board of just people feeling connected.
right. The only problem is it's a very sequential kind of process. We only have a month, give or take a couple of days of holidays. And by the time other communities sign on, it's going to be a slow growing process. They can sign on. Town of Chevy Chase is up and running, but there are others that need to sign on. By the time they see what the date is, it's going to be sequential. So I'm not sure we have the time to list all the collaborating communities. We could do that as they come along, but I think initially we want to show them what we're doing and then offer them the option of signing on as soon as they can. That's the problem, is that we don't have the time to gather the forces and list them all.
So we can include whoever is on board, from the beginning, like Town of Chevy Chase, and then
Yeah.
and then update the flyer as more communities join on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see if we can get at least 3 or 4 though on the initial one.
Well, we'll see. I
I'll
have
tell
to
you what the
say that
process is.
as lovely as it's been to hearing from people, they respond lethargically, if
Mm.
that's the word.
If you get
So-
them to concrete to do though, I mean, I have done seminars like this where several different organizations were sponsoring a public, training or education. And typically the way it has worked that was somewhat effective and a little faster was to give people the draft flyer. Like, say, hi, here's a space for your name. We need a decision by Tuesday. And so they've got the document in front of them. They have a deadline, usually within a week. And people, sort of stop being lethargic and say, okay, this is fish or cut bait. Are we on or not? And they make a vote, whether it's their local council votes or the director of an agency that's
Yeah.
co-sponsoring. But you have to give them something and don't just ask them, for a blank check. Give them the document, the draft document. Say, do you want to sign on? If so, let us know by whatever day, Tuesday. That seems to actually get people off their duff.
Okay, that's a good idea. So I'm going to ask Michael and Aaron to help me with the draft flyer with VMA as the sponsor and AJC as, I don't know what would we call the AJC?
The presenter.
Presenter. And then I'm going to send it to the town of Chevy Chase and 2 or 3 other organizations that have been communicating with me, and give them a deadline of about 3 days, because guys, Christmas is upon us, and Christmas and New Year's, not much time between now and then.
Mhm.
So we'll see how fast we can turn that around for me to send it on to the most engaged communities and the rest, and see how many sign on, and then give them time later on, because we're not going to send it out only once. We're going to send it on several times to help people register. So the idea about registering is to guard against people who are going to interrupt, if that's the right word, the proceedings. I think AJC is going to sign people, register people, and then only later send them Zoom links. So there is time for people to register until a few days before, if not just before, June 16th. So there's going to be an iterative process of communicating with the registrants or potential interested people. Did you like the text they sent us to share with potential registrants? Did you have a chance to look at it?
I have not looked at that yet. I'm sorry. Be happy to, but haven't yet.
Okay. So let's set that aside for the moment.
Did other people get to see it?
I actually, can you, which email was that sent in? I didn't see that.
Okay, I'm gonna see. I forwarded Sue Stolov's,
Was that in the last couple of days?
no, about a week ago.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it completely then. Can you send it again, Nomi?
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's set it aside for a minute and let's talk about a marketing campaign. I'm sorry, is Leah with us?
Yeah, looks like she joined.
Hi,
Leah, hi.
Leah. The event planner of us
Hi,
all.
I'm sorry. I'm here. I've got a sick kid. So
Oh, dear.
I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm sending everybody the text that AJC sent me, but in general, so we want to set that aside. The text, we can have people comment on that now or later, but I think we need a marketing plan. So my thinking is a list of organizations that we can forward this announcement to once we get it together. So my focus is going to be other municipalities. And I'm thinking that even though I'm not crazy about the idea that it's going to be mostly Jews attending this. I think we need to go wider, but I do think we need to let local, our respective temples, and let them know about this. So I think that's the next on the list. What do you think, Leah? Do you have other thoughts?
In terms of who to solicit or market this to?
Right, so this is a marketing plan. So we're gonna market to other municipalities. We're gonna market to synagogues. Where else can we recruit people who are not necessarily Jewish? Aside from VMA, of course.
I mean,
Why are we,
sorry, go
why are
ahead.
we not focused on just getting 75 non-Jews from the Village of Martin's Addition and feeling like, I mean, isn't that the core of our goal?
What are you saying, Dar? Say it again?
Saying like that our committee is aimed at educating the Village of Martin's Addition about anti-Semitism. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That goes without saying. It's
So
gonna be for the VMA.
why wouldn't our marketing campaign be an aggressive marketing campaign within our own community? Like
Absolutely,
every synagogue has its own presentations by AJC.
right. So VMA for sure. Other municipalities for sure.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, please.
We talked, I had it in the minutes from one of the earlier meetings about reaching out to local churches. We've got some progressive churches here in the neighborhood, and I think we ought to reach out to them. Again, maybe within a radius of, I don't know, a mile of VMA. I don't have a list of them, but I really believe in preaching to the not choir, and
Absolutely.
let's go to the progressive churches.
So
There's also
we
that Shabbat group. Remember the very first meeting you all taught me?
Chabad.
Yeah, what that
That's
is?
a Jewish group.
Yeah, but I think that should put them on our list too. I mean, I don't know if they're considered a synagogue, but uh, they also are very friendly at doing outreach, and they could help distribute flyers and information. I mean, I had the impression of them that they would be willing to be part of the outreach effort. They wouldn't just have their own members know it, but they would be able to, I don't know, take our flyer around to people they reach that we would not think of, since they do.
So who here is familiar with Chabad?
Yes, I am. I don't think that Chabad has a role to play in this
No.
event personally.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think we should go back. I mean, I don't think that I think it's good to bring in as many people as possible, but I do think we should go back to, what Dara's point, which is like, yeah, I mean, I think the first priority has to be to nail down a marketing plan to VMA, and then discuss everything else after that. But to me, that's like the core of this. And
Yeah,
also
the VMA.
communicating with their.
Right. The VMA is the core.
So
And
like what are we going to do in VMA? Like put it in the newsletter? Is there going to be like a standalone email? Is there going to be like a physical flyer? I mean, I feel like that is like the first place to start.
Okay. So flyer, hard copy.
Yeah, the street captains can help walk it around.
Okay. By the way, Nate, did you see the hard copy of the newsletter that
I did. Thank you for dropping it off. Yes.
with your article? I love it. You can show it off to your father.
There's also like, this is a small thing, but there's also the cork board outside of the supermarket.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right. We have the announcement board. Yes, good point,
Yeah.
Leah.
Yeah, the announcement board, and then we can also put like little like flyers at the little shops on Brookville Road.
Okay. So while we're talking about it, Michael, how many flyers do you typically print for people to distribute around the village?
So for the community engagement committee events, we print about one flyer for every household, depending on the event. But that's about 300 there's 330 properties, but not all of them have a house. And then we do hand them out to the flyers, put them on the bulletin boards, and have a couple extra in the office as well.
Okay.
Newsletter, wrap up, and then a standalone email is kind of standard for our events. So happy to do all of that for you all. And of course, with the help of the street captains and you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
There's your marketing plan right there.
Exactly.
That covers the waterfront a couple different ways. Thank you.
Yeah.
Michael.
Any other options for VMA? Do any of you want some extra copies of the
What
flyer?
about the listserv, the community listservs? Our
Yeah, we
listserv,
can.
Rollingwood has a listserv, the schools have listservs. I don't know if there's any the rules, but seems that someone could post something from that community.
Good idea.
The Rollingwood one has a big one, a far-reaching listserv.
Yeah, I can make sure that Rollingwood makes an announcement if we have one that's easily emailed, and then the other is so what did you just mention, Katie?
Oh, well, in addition to the Village of Martin's Edition listserv, there's Rollingwood. I assume Section 3, Section 5 has some sort of internal, like a blast that they do. I don't know. I mean, I guess all of the public schools have listservs and they advertise community events. I'm not sure if there, are rules about that, but
Yeah.
Anti-Semitism is real and happening in the schools, and there's been a lot of discussion on both my kids' listservs about it. So it might be an ideal opportunity for someone to advertise it there.
So let's divvy up the list. Your kids are at BCC?
Yes, BCC in Silver Creek. middle
Okay.
school.
So do you think you can ask them to post this?
I can, I guess so. Michael, is that any conflict of interest? I always have to ask in my role. Um, I can reach out to the people who post on the listserv and certainly ask. So yes, I wouldn't mind doing that.
For the Rollingwood listserv, I'm in contact with their, that's a homeowners association. I'm in contact with their president. His first name is David.
I'm
And
on the Rollingwood listserv. I can just post it.
Oh,
Oh, that's
nice.
that's great.
Yeah.
But Michael, I'm glad you've got that connection too. It seems
Yeah,
like
and
you're
they
doing a
have been
great job.
they have been asking to like join our events and stuff. Our events have paid vendors, which we're paying for, so we can't really share on a lot of those. But this would be one that, it doesn't hurt to have extra people there. So
Good. Yeah, you can reach out to Rollingwood. Any other schools? So I'm gonna reach out to the neighborhood. So if you're reaching out to Rollingwood, I don't have to reach out to them, but I can reach out to the others.
Well, do you just want me to post it on the listserv or you want me to ask them to co-sponsor? I'm not sure what. I can do both, but
I would say
Let's-
just post it. If you post it, and then I'll reach out to the president and ask him, to spread the word as well.
sure. And
So, but
And if they want to
co-sponsoring is a good
co-sponsor.
idea. Co-sponsoring is a good idea.
Mhm.
So
So-
Dara, do you feel like you're in the position to do that?
I think Michael just said he was going to ask them to do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
So Michael
I'm
will
happy to
reach out
ask him.
officially to the head of the homeowners association in
Yeah.
Rollingwood. And Dara, you'll go ahead and post it on the listserv once we have the flyer ready. And so we've got Rollingwood covered top and community. That sounds perfect. Michael, thank you.
Yeah.
Dara, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, just to raise I think if Leah wants to, she can post it to Milton, and I'm happy to post it to JDS just in terms of Jewish educational committees. I mean, we could post
sure.
to Rosemary Hills, to Chevy Chase Elementary, to North Chevy Chase Elementary. I mean, this is an educational program, so it seems like a really appropriate place to post it in our neighborhood schools places. But then I agree with Nathaniel, like if we're each going to spend an hour or 2 hours like courting people, then we should just be knocking on a neighbor's door who goes to Blessed Sacrament, or knocking on a neighbor's door who goes to the local church and saying, hey,
Yes.
we'd love for you to be an ally in this group. And do you think that this is something you might be interested in joining? I mean, that's how we can educate our own people before we start. We don't need to educate synagogues about anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
I'll knock on some doors and hand out some flyers.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be good to have a whole bunch of flyers. Yeah, we have a very mixed block, I know, on Quincy Street. Any other ideas about marketing?
Well, I think we ought to review the flyer. And for not just the content of the information, but the tone, to make sure it's very welcoming and, people come to things that sound like they're going to benefit from them and not like they're going to be preached at, so, that the wording of this is going to be something we should pay some attention to. And, Nate, again, I appreciate your wordsmithing on some of our stuff. And, this is another case, I think, where we need to be really thoughtful about the wordsmithing to make it sound like that they will benefit from coming, not that they're going to be preached at.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted you to review what AJC recommended for texting for the text. So let me know if there's any editing, anything you would change. And it doesn't have to be right this minute. I did send it all to you at this a few minutes ago, but it may be hard to do some wordsmithing together. So maybe it's not the time to do that, but I actually do want to set a goal for sending this out. So January 16th is our date for presenting this program. So I actually want to set the date for finalizing the flyer no later than the 16th. And what is that? Is that a weekend date?
December
Okay.
16th is Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Okay, so how about Monday, the 18th?
So that's for the task force to finalize our flyer by Monday, the 18th.
Right. And that means today is Monday. That means we have to give Michael some time to put the flyer together with our logo and AJC's logo or AJC's information. So today's Monday. How about Wednesday? Giving Michael Thursday and Friday.
Naomi, should we get any markups back to you by Wednesday?
Yes, to all of us.
Okay, I'm noting we will mark up the draft flyer by Wednesday, close of business.
Yeah, that gives you 2 full days.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other discussion about marketing?
Yeah, real quick on the flyer, if there's any colors, that can make it hard for printing. And also, we can print it on a colored paper, if that might make it stand out a little bit more. But
I don't have any strong feelings about color, I have to say, but others may.
I think it needs to be a blue flyer. Just thinking.
One color?
Well, blue and white, maybe.
Yeah.
I like the idea of putting it on colored paper because black and white printing on colored paper is a lot less expensive. Not that we don't have money in this village to do it whatever we want, but black and white printing is cheaper. And
well, if I can print it on my own printer, then that's much easier than trying to go out and find someone with a professional printing job.
So
So
what kind of colors can you do there?
I mean, I can print any color, but I just can't promise how good it's going to look. If you have, fancy graphics and those types of things. But if we're
We
printing it
don't
on
need-
paper, then we can just print it on whatever color paper.
We don't need fancy.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we don't need fancy. Okay, so next on our agenda is deciding on a donation to the AJC. So I have to apologize. It's not really a donation. It's a payment for their professional training. So I have a question. We have a choice. We don't have to pay them. And I'm wondering what you all think about paying them, and what we should recommend to the council.
Naomi, let me make a suggestion here. It's purely a suggestion. It would be a lot easier. I mean, I'm not sure if they could do this, but if they could send us an invoice for services rendered,
Uh-huh.
then it will not be a donation, which we cannot do. We're prohibited from giving donations to charitable organizations. It would be payment for services that
Okay.
we do on a regular basis. You can talk behind the scenes about how they could do that, what kind of a sum might be appropriate and so on. But I think that would be much more doable.
That makes a lot of sense, Arthur.
Okay.
Anybody else have a comment?
well, I definitely think we ought to pay them because this is a highly skilled service they're providing and a very valuable one. And I think that, this deserves payment. This is not an easy job that they've taken on. I know
Yeah.
they've got a lot of experience doing it, and I was really pleased by the way they outlined their framework and everything when we, met with them and went over their proposal in detail. I mean, these are clearly very professional, very skilled, very experienced presenters, and absolutely deserve to be paid. I see
Anybody else?
Nate's nodding.
Yeah, no, I think for sure they should be paid. Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments?
Is anybody
But
opposed to
did
pay?
they give a range of payment?
I asked them, and it's
I
a
mean, do they
huge
work like
range.
a Moyle? Like they don't bill, but you pay them? I mean, I think,
They have presented to tiny organizations. They have presented to big law firms. It's a really wide range. I will talk to them about what they think is reasonable. I'll see what they think about presenting us an invoice. I will feel it out. That's all I can say.
I just had a question because my apologies, I missed the last couple of your meetings. So is the AGC going to be like the headliner, the main speaker at the event?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well,
They
yes, like
do
Arthur
this.
was saying, it's like, yeah, a
Yeah.
vendor for a service. Yeah.
Yeah, they do this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner
Okay, got it.
all over the world. Yeah. Yeah.
So Naomi, you'll follow up with them, right?
I will, and I will ask them if it makes sense for them to issue us an invoice and for how much. And yeah, I guess it would be helpful to know how much we're willing to pay them. Unfortunately, it's way open. So I don't know if you guys want to give put out some numbers that I can suggest to them.
You could, I mean, I think you can just ask them for a suggested donation amount.
Okay,
Just like,
Based on like a comparable, like we're not like a private business, so we're not like a like a law firm, but like
Right.
another community, maybe we'll have like a few hundred people on, if they've done something similar like that, in the past, what the donations or the payments been.
okay, I will feel them out about it. I did ask her, Sue Stoloff, and she said, well, it's, we can do it. The range is wide open, and I'll feel her out some more.
But we should definitely not call it a donation, per Arthur's point. This is
No, it's not, it's a payment for service.
That's right, that's right.
Just because they happen to be nonprofit is beside the point.
Yep, that's right. The service
my
is
feeling.
incredibly valuable and incredibly highly skilled.
Right, exactly, very highly skilled. So, any other issues that anybody wants to bring up before we talk about next dates?
I just want to say I'm excited about doing this program. I mean, part of our core mission from the council was to do an educational program, and I think we got top of the line here. I think this is going to be superb, and I'm so delighted to have, first-class presenters, experienced presenters, who are really understand the nuances of how you handle sensitive topics, because boy, that's tricky when you're a presenter. And I'm just so pleased. I want to commend you, Nomi, particularly for making the connections to HAC and having them, come and present, the proposal. And just, I mean, I think we got, the sort of the cream of the crop here in terms of presenters that are possible. And I am so pleased. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, it's my pleasure, totally my pleasure. The least I can do for the cause.
I did have one other thing to add about advertising. I think, Marty had mentioned, I mean, within a mile is every church, every Christian denomination. We have the Methodist Church up the street, and Chevy Chase Circle has practically every one along the circle. And so the main way a lot of churches advertise in my parish is Blessed Sacrament is through the bulletin. So you can ask them to distribute flyers, but also if someone wants to come up with a blurb, the best thing to do is they can put that in their bulletin. And the busiest day of the year for them is coming up, which is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And they'll get a lot of people, who maybe have been remiss in going to church, not being judgmental. I would be one of them. But that's how they get you. You come in on those days. So you get a lot of eyes and ears seeing, a lot of eyes seeing it then. So the faster you get your messaging together, that might be also another, you know, outlet. And I think many of the local churches would be more than happy to do that and advertise that in their bulletins. But for them, like for Blessed Sacrament, one of their main ways they get messages out about events is in their weekly bulletin.
How far
How do
in
you
advance-
reach out to them?
Oh, they all have offices that, you know, that are on their websites, that they have an office staff, and they put together their weekly bulletin that way. And I think they all have deadlines. Like if you need something in the weekly bulletin, submit it by, you know, the Wednesday before Sunday, or, you know.
So you email the information to them online. Okay.
And they needed
So-
that a week before or half a week before?
I
Or?
mean,
don't-
generally, I don't know, but I know that, you know, that's coming up, and that would, a lot of eyes would see it that way, and probably, or maybe we could ask people in the neighborhood, you know, if you belong to one of these churches, would you, you know, reach out and share this information to your, you know, your local parish or church, and about
Good
this
idea.
very important upcoming event. Yeah, so,
We could do that on listserv, or we could do that
yeah,
through the,
Yeah.
to
let's
share.
put people to work.
Yeah, so if we have something by the end of this week,
Yeah, I
at the
think that
beginning
would
of
work.
next week, then
Mhm.
we'll beat the Christmas rush,
Yes.
kinda. Of course, the Christmas rush has started already,
Right.
but never mind.
Yeah, some of the churches may have a deadline for their Christmas bulletins. I'm looking at the December calendar. We're supposed to have this ready by Monday, the 18th. That could very easily be a deadline for some congregations for their bulletins, you know, to produce a bulletin for the following Saturday and Sunday. Christmas, of course, is on Monday, the 28th, 1 week after the 18th. So maybe we ought to have our final flyer ready, or at least a blurb ready, by the 15th instead of the 18th, just in order to make a Monday deadline for a
Okay, so that means that everybody has to come back to me and Michael with any edits by the end of tomorrow.
Okay, and I'm putting down December 15th as our editing deadline, or
So-
our final flyer deadline, finalized flyer by December 15th. For the minute,
Okay,
okay?
that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Include all of us, including Michael, please.
Yep.
Okay. Don't be too persnickety.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Okay,
And you know, there's two different things here. The blurb for a church bulletin should be very short, 3 sentences,
right,
or 1 sentence and then the info.
right.
The flyer for the neighborhood can be, and probably should be, more detailed.
Right.
Because there we've got a whole page to work with, whereas a church blurb is real short. It's more likely to get in if it's shorter rather than longer.
Right, right. I'll work with Michael on making one that's longer versus shorter. Okay. Anything else that we need to discuss, guys? Besides setting up another date? And the question is, what else do we need to do before the end of the year?
I think we should have a party. We've got a lot of work here.
Yeah. So I think we should meet sometime before the end of the year. And I'm wondering about the week of the 18th, or maybe we don't want to go further into the Christmas holiday where things get a little crazy. So I'm thinking we should meet sometime during the week of the 18th. Is that next week?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that the work we do on the flyer is administrative rather than policy related, since the policy has been determined that, you know, this is the event we were in our mission we're supposed to do. So obviously we have to get council approval from it on the 14th. But I
Yeah,
think
the
that's
14th, yeah.
So Nomi, you'll need to make a presentation on the 14th, have the council give this its blessing, so to speak. And we finalize the flyer, the text for the 15th, the next day, and start distributing it like crazy, including in the church blurbs, which I think is just a fantastic idea, Katie. And so we don't actually meet again or need to meet again until we have some further decision-making stuff to do, because preparing the flyer and the blurb, that's administrative. We don't need to have a public. meeting for that.
Right. Yeah,
So I think, I don't know where people are the week after Christmas is Monday, the 25th. A lot of people are going to be out of town, I suspect, through the 30th or 31st. So that takes us to the first week of January. And I think it'd be fine to meet the first week of January and kind of see where we are. I mean, obviously, probably not New Year's Day, although I'm available New Year's Day during the daytime. But maybe the 2nd of January. That gives us time if we need to do further efforts in some area, or if we've gotten some weird feedback in some area that we can cope with it. So I guess I would suggest January 2nd as a potential meeting date. I don't know that we'll have any policy stuff to decide at that meeting, but let's get together and see where we are to assess, how successful we've been.
what do you think, guys? Nathaniel, Leah?
Yeah, I think
I
meeting.
think that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think meeting before the end of the year would be probably pretty tough.
Yeah, right. Okay. Tuesday, the 2nd at 8:30.
Dara, you look concerned. Is that good for you?
Okay,
I'll be traveling back from out of town that day, so I probably
When
can't.
are you free?
Our kids are back in school on the 3rd.
The 3rd, so Wednesday the 3rd might work better for you?
Yes.
not for me, actually.
Okay. Nomi, what's
Yeah,
your,
I'm traveling on the 3rd. So,
okay, what about you, Leah? Leah?
Nathaniel, is it okay with you on the 2nd?
Sorry, yes, that's okay.
Okay, the 2nd is okay. All right.
Yeah, I can do
So-
the 2nd or the 3rd.
Either
Can you
one?
do the 2nd?
Yes, I
Okay.
can do the 2nd or I can do the 3rd.
Okay. I actually prefer the 2nd, I have to say. I'm going on an odyssey of the Civil Rights Museum and monuments to
Wow.
the south.
Wow, and you're leaving on the 3rd for that?
Yes.
Wow, that'll be such a cool trip.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, we'll see. Can
Yeah,
I torture myself any further? I don't know.
It'll be empowering, Nomi. It'll be empowering.
Yeah.
We hope.
Okay, so Michael, can you just make it a note that we're gonna meet on the 2nd at 8:30? Sorry, Daria, I really, it's between you and me.
Maybe you can call in, Dara. Is that something you could do on the 2nd? I mean, it probably won't be more than an hour.
I'll put it on my calendar. I'll see how our travels are.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate.
Flexibility is our middle name.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to really doing a lot of gymnastics during January because I'm gonna be traveling, so. Okay, so thank you all. If there's nothing else, I don't know if I can move to end the meeting.
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you. Anybody else going to approve?
Nate?
Second?
Yes, I seconded.
Nate waved 2 fingers. That's qualified.
That's a universal signal for seconding the motion.
Thank you so much. And so let's take a vote. Everybody approve ending the meeting. Yay.
I
Great.
Good night,
Aye.
everybody.
Aye.
Thank you.
And
Good
thank you
night.
for a good meeting, Nomi, and